your AWS account. We just need to ignore this one. Do not do anything about this one. Don't worry about this one. We need to create our own, create a new one. So click on create VPC. Go on create VPC. I'm going to call it my VPC. Now I need to give some CIDR range. CIDR range, IPv4 CIDR range. I've given it in the lab. I'm giving it in the lab that I'm giving you guys. I'm giving you, use some CIDR range. What is the range? This is the range. Just copy it and paste. Do not worry about it. I'm giving you, all of this will be given to you at work. You don't guess any of this. This is given to you. But you need to understand what it is. I told you guys, this is nothing but a range of IP addresses. It's a bunch of creating a data center that has you can launch a bunch of computers, because each computer needs to have a unique IP address, and those IP addresses are going to come from this range. So assign this range to here. Make sure there's no space behind it like this, because sometimes it can give you an error. Remove all the space behind it. That's it. That's all you need to do here. That's it. Click on create. Click on close. Now you have two VPCs, isn't it? The new one looks like the one that was there already, except the old one would have some IP range, and the new one has the IP range that I just gave you guys to use. Now we have a VPC. Good. So we've taken care of the first step. Next. So I want you to note that once you create the VPC, once we create what we just created, also created some things for us. It automatically creates some things for us. If we click on the VPC, just like our EC2 instance, this VPC will have a description. So our EC2 has a description tab, isn't it? So as our EC2 is, so is our VPC would have a description too, and this description will be telling us something. You give us a VPC ID, and this ID here is what is used here. You can see this other VPC is the default VPC ID. This is B99F95C3. If you click on, if you see on the default VPC, this is B99F9FC3. Is the ID of the VPC, but this is the ID of our VPC. This is the IP range that I gave you guys to use. There is something called ACL. There is something called a route table. I'm going to explain in details tomorrow, so not worry about that. So some things will be created for us. Something called security group. There's a default security group, VPC security group, default. See, VPC default security group will be created. A network access control list will be created. We'll talk about what that is. Default public route table will be created, something as this one. Okay, so next step, number 2, create one public subnet. One public subnet. And I've given you what the credentials to use. So let's go ahead and go back to AWS. Where do you see subnets here? I said create something. What? Subnet. Do you see anything that says subnet here? See anything that says subnets? What do you do next? You click on it, right? Isn't it? You click on it. Now you have some subnets here, but do not worry about this ones. We need to create our own. We're not messing with the ones that are already here. So click on create subnets, because I'm asking you to create the subnet, isn't it? Create subnet. And you need to give it a name. And I'm asking you to give it a name here. Everything that I'm asking you to create, I've already given you the parameters to use. There's no guesswork. There's no need for you to be stuck, because I'm giving you everything to use. And VPCs here is asking you to select something. So click on the drop down here, and there's 2 VPCs. Which one do you want to select? Obviously, the one that you created, right? We just created a VPC. We are just creating a VPC, so we need to select this one that says my VPC, because that's how we label our VPCs. So we need to select our availability zone. We talked about availability zone in the beginning, isn't it? So click on the drop down here, select any one of these availability zone, but we are going to go with the first one. Select the US East 1A. Now you need to give it a CDR block again for this VPC. So you guys, these subnets, VPCs and subnets have CDR ranges. So we need to give it its own CDR range. I'm going to give it this one. Copy, copy and paste. Make sure there's no space behind. And click on create. I'm giving you guys everything to use. Just follow the steps, guys. And I will explain this tomorrow. Just follow the steps and take this one. I'm asking you to create one more subnet. Create one more subnet. We need to create two subnets. The next step, number 3, says create one private subnet. This one said public, public. This one says private, and I'm giving the name private. So I'm going to go back to AWS one more time. Create subnet. What is the name I'm giving? This one right here. Copy it. Paste it here. Again, select the VPC as my VPC. Availability zone this time around, we're not going to go with 1A. Let's go with 1B. For the CDI range, I've given it as well. Make sure you select this one. Select this one and paste it. Click on create. Click on close. Now you see that we have created two subnets. One is my public subnet and the other one is my private subnet. Next thing, what is next? We need to create some of that item. It's called Internet Gateway. We need to create something called Internet Gateway. We need to create Internet Gateway. And we need to do one more step and attach it to a VPC. Where do you see Internet Gateway here? Anything that I'm asking you to create, just look for it. You see it and click on it. Everything is within here, just at the top here. Everything is right at the top here. Just look for it. Internet Gateway. It says here Internet Gateway. Just click on it. I'll explain exactly what it does. So I'm going to click on Create Internet Gateway. And I'm giving you, you can name it anything you want, but I'm helping you guys by giving some name. My Internet Gateway. IGW is a short form of Internet Gateway. Internet Gateway brings in internet into your VPC. Internet Gateway, make sure there's no space. Click on create, click on close. Now we have two Internet gateways, the one that was already there, and we have a new one here. But it looks different from the old one because it says detach. So we need to take one more step. What is the next step? Attach Internet Gateway to VPC. What can you do for anything? Just go to the action, isn't it? Go to the action, click on attach to VPC. Now, what VPC I was going to choose? Always choose the one that we create. Obviously, we're going to create this one. Click on attach. Now it says attach. So we are good there. Next step, create. Let me put here as create. So we need to create an Internet Gateway, and we need to create a NAT gateway. Where do you see NAT gateway? We need to create a NAT gateway. Where do you see NAT gateway here? This is NAT gateway. Click on it. Click on create NAT gateway. Just follow my step and create these items. I'm going to explain fully tomorrow. So we need to create a NAT gateway and give it a name. I'm giving you some name to use here. Give it a name. Give it a name and give it this one. A tag is nothing but naming your thing. So we need to select some subnet, or we need to select something called an elastic IP address. We've talked about what an elastic IP address is. A static IP address, meaning a NAT gateway need a subnet and an elastic IP address because it's given them asterisk. Asterisk means anything you see asterisk on, it means it's required. Some things you can give optionally. We don't have to give a name. This one is optional. But this one is required because it's asking you here with the asterisk. This asterisk means it's a must. If you don't provide it, click on create, it will give you an error. You cannot proceed. So we need to create a NAT gateway. And remember, when you're creating a NAT gateway, select a public subnet, and one more thing, allocate IP address. I didn't give details because if I explain it, I will not give details so you guys can figure it out as you go. Because if I explain it, I don't have to save this one. So you guys automatically know when you click on create that you have to select this one, isn't it? But here we need to select public subnet. So we created a public subnet. I'm going to select it. Click on allocate, because you click on this drop down, we don't have any IP address. So make sure you click on allocate IP address. Then you see one that has been assigned here. Click on create a NAT gateway. Click on close. Now we have a NAT gateway that's created. This is going to take like a minute to create or a few seconds. What is next? Two more things to create, and then we're done with class for today. Create one route table. So when we created the VPC, by default, some route table was created. Some default route table was created. What is route table? Again, look on here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look. You see it. It says right here, route tables. Just click on it and see what the options you have. So this is the route table that was created because you can see here that it says my VPC. This one says default VPC, but this one says here under VPC. Under VPC, it says my VPC. So obviously this is our VPC. So I'm going to give this guy a name. I'm going to give it this name right here. I'm going to give it as my public IP. Copy and paste public IP. And I need to, number 6 says create one more route table. So we are in the route table. So we need to create one more. Click on create route table. And I'm asking you to give it a name here. Just follow these steps, guys, and you should be able to do this. Click on paste, copy and paste, and VPC. Every time you're selecting VPC, make sure you're selecting our VPC that you created, whatever name you gave it. Then we click on create, click on close. So we've created a public IP route table. RT stands for route table. Public RT, public route table. This route table, I'm abbreviating it so I don't write it in full. So anyway, you see RT, you know it's the route table. So we have a public route table here and a public route table. We're going to discuss what a route table is. So next things we need to do is configure subnet with public and private route table. I'm going to show you guys this quickly because I want you to actually do it. Don't understand it, just do it. I will understand this tomorrow. One more step. So we need to configure these two route tables for the two subnets that we created. First thing, click on the public route table. Public route table, come to the bottom. First thing, click on subnet association. You see here, there is nothing associated to it. What you want to do is click on edit subnet association. Since it's the public route table, we're going to associate our public subnet. Public subnet, click on save. Next, click on the routes table, routes tab. Click on the route tab, click on edit routes. Click on edit routes, add one more route here. And I'm going to give it a 0.0.04 octaves of zeros. And here I'm going to choose a target of internet gateway. I created internet gateway before, right? Here we are using it now. Click on save routes. Click on close. That is done. That's it. Next, we need to configure the private route table. We need to do the same thing we need to do for the private route table. Where instead of selecting public subnet, we're going to select the private subnet. Again, follow the same procedure. Click on subnet association. Nothing is here. Click on edit subnet mask. This time around, you want to choose the private subnet, private subnets. This is a subnet with some ID, and it says private subnet. Don't click on it. Click on the options that you selected, and you'll pop up right here. Then you click on save. It'll show up. Now it shows up here. Next, click on routes. Click on edit routes. Add one more route. Still give it the 0.000. Once you click 0 here, this will pop up, or you'll just click 0.0.0/0, range of everything. Click on here. This time around, choose NAT gateway. We are choosing NAT gateway for private route table, internet gateway for public route table. So here we choose NAT gateway. Select this NAT gateway. Click on save. On close, and you're completed. That's it. You have configured your network. You have configured all the network that you need to configure for your account. For that VPC, we have configured this. We have done nothing